Never drive off immediately after filling your tank. What happens in those first few minutes is the reason your gas disappears so.
By multiple measures, they're healthier than any average American, black, white, brown, or whatever. Why do black Americans die younger than white Americans? Or most other Americans, for that matter? It sounds like a simple question, but it isn't. And the answers you usually hear, racism, poverty, access to health care, they're partly right, partly wrong, and mostly incomplete. Here's what's interesting and troubling. This is one of those topics where the mainstream conversation is so locked into a particular framework that some of the most important data barely gets discussed at all. Not because it doesn't exist, but because asking certain questions out loud makes some people feel uncomfortable, professionally, politically, and personally. I'm Ken LaCourte. I dig into topics like this because I think we all deserve straight answers more than safe ones. And this one has some genuine surprises, including a data point about black immigrants that'll make most people rethink their assumptions about what's really going on behind the deadly gap. Here's what we'll cover. First, we'll look at what the data tell us, because the raw numbers are more nuanced than the headlines suggest, as always. Then we'll get into some explanations for why, including which popular explanations hold up and which ones are on shakier ground. And finally, we'll talk about what nobody wants to talk about, the factors with real explanatory power that make people uncomfortable. In the next few minutes, you'll know more about this topic than most people who've been arguing about it for years. Okay, let's begin with what the data tell us, because the clues start there. In 2021, the average black American lived to 71 years old. The average white American lived to 76, which is about the US average. Latinos lived to 78, and Asian Americans to 84. Native Americans, a group that finds itself at the bad bottom of so many charts, only lived to about 65 years old. The gap between black and white Americans, about 5.5 years. But the story gets vastly more complicated when you actually start picking apart those numbers and looking at them more closely. First surprise, the gap isn't uniform throughout ages, meaning black Americans who make it to their mid-70s actually live longer than white Americans in the same age group. The problem isn't being old and black in America. The problem is getting there in the first place. The gap is driven almost entirely by deaths earlier in life, usually preventable deaths that shouldn't be happening at all. Second surprise, black Americans is doing a lot of heavy lifting as a category, because when you split it by gender or background, you're looking at completely different situations. The CDC says black women live, on average, 78 years old, and white women, 81. There's a gap there, but it's getting pretty close. Black men, though, that gap is almost twice as large. Black men live about 5 to 6 years less than white men and fall even further back compared to black women. What's behind those numbers for black men? Well, there's a couple specific causes that drive it, and we'll get into them in a bit because they're more surprising than you might expect. For now, just know that the headline, "Black Americans Live Shorter Lives," is really, in a large part, a story about black men dying young. And that distinction matters enormously for what the solutions might look like. Now let's zoom out a little, because the long-term trend tells a more upbeat story. In 1900, black Americans lived roughly 15 fewer years than whites. That's more than a health disparity because it represented two different worlds. And it makes sense when you look at what black life actually looked like in 1900. Most black Americans at the turn of the last century were sharecroppers in the rural South, living in overcrowded shacks with no plumbing, clean water, no access to medical care. Diseases that were becoming manageable for white Americans, tuberculosis, pneumonia, typhoid, they were still mass killers in black communities because the basic infrastructure to fight them off simply didn't exist. About a third of black babies died before their first birthday in 1900. Think about that. And black mothers, they died in childbirth at staggering rates. A segregated medical system meant that even when hospitals existed nearby, black Americans often couldn't use them. So that 15-year gap wasn't all that mysterious. It was the direct, measurable consequences of poverty, segregation, and deliberate exclusion from the public health care that saved other lives. 60 years later, the gap had narrowed to 7 years. Progress was real and it was fast, driven by better infant survival, infectious disease control, and basic health finally reaching black communities for the first time. And then it kind of stalled. The gap plateaued in the 70s and 80s. It crept back down through the 90s and 2000s, then stalled again. For 40 plus years, we've been grinding through the same stubborn gap, with a stumble during the COVID pandemic. Something stopped working. But before we get into explanations, there's another data point that should make you think, because it blows up the simplest versions of almost every argument in this debate. Black immigrants, people who voluntarily came to America from Africa or the Caribbean, they live longer than U.S. Black Americans, and it's not even close. A 2025 study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology found that in 2019, foreign-born Black men had a life expectancy of 82.3 years. That's higher than white men, and it's 11 years more than U.S.-born Black men. For female Black immigrants, the gap was 9 years. By multiple measures, they're healthier than any average American, Black, white, brown, or whatever. They have lower hypertension, lower obesity rates, and they have dramatically lower rates of diabetes, and they have 40% lower cardiovascular death rates. These people live in the same country as everyone else. They deal with the same racism. They use the same healthcare system. Sometimes they live in the same neighborhoods, and yet they're healthier than almost everyone else. And here's the kicker. That advantage vanishes within one generation. The kids of Black immigrants raised in the United States, they start showing the same health profile as the broader native-born Black population. Something gets lost in translation between one generation and the next. Whatever health behaviors and cultural patterns these immigrants brought with them gets erased in their American-born children. And that's one of the more important clues in the entire puzzle. So we know the gap is real. Now comes the harder question, the explanations for why. Researchers have been arguing about it for decades, and there's no shortage of theories. Some have stronger evidence. Some have become accepted wisdom, even though the data behind them isn't really strong. And some explanations, they barely get mentioned at all, again, for reasons that have more to do with feelings and politics than science. Let's go through them. The explanations you hear most often tend to cluster around structural factors: racism, poverty, lack of access, segregation. And some of those are legitimate, but a few of the popular ones, they just don't hold up. Take food deserts. Everyone's heard this one. Black Americans disproportionately live in neighborhoods where fresh, nutritious food is hard to find, and that drives higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. It's a clean, compelling narrative, but the research just doesn't back it up. Studies that track what happens when grocery stores open up in underserved neighborhoods, they find little to no improvement in diet or health. A major Stanford study found that low-income people of all races already shop outside their immediate neighborhoods for groceries far more than the food desert theory assumes. Another study from 2019 found that when low-income families gained access to a new supermarket, their purchasing habits barely budged at all. The food desert explanation, it feels right, but feeling right and being right, that's not the same thing. Green space is another concept. The argument is that Black Americans have less access to parks and green spaces, and it contributes to physical inactivity and worse mental outcomes. And it's true. Space access is generally associated with better health. But wealthy Black Americans in well-resourced neighborhoods with plenty of park access are still worse off than comparable white Americans. If green space were even a primary driver, you wouldn't expect to see that. And plenty of rural white communities sit surrounded by nature and still have sky-high obesity rates. Then there's an idea that has a little bit more science behind it: stress. The idea that navigating poverty and a racist society, it produces chronic stress that accelerates biological aging and drives up the rate of hypertension and cardiovascular disease. Some researchers call it weathering. And chronic stress absolutely does cause real, measurable physiological damage. Elevated cortisol, disrupted sleep, increased inflammation. That's not in dispute. What is in dispute is how much the life expectancy gap can be explained by this. I mean, most studies rely on self-reported experiences of discrimination, which really makes it hard to isolate racism-related stress from other factors like poverty or even neighborhood conditions or health behaviors. The underlying concept is plausible, but any effect it's just much harder to pin down than the people promoting it say it is. So now let's turn to some ideas that show clear correlations between race and longevity. But before we get into that, please listen to this message from today's sponsor, Chapter. If you or someone you know is trying to get on Medicare, you really should pay attention because the system is confusing and not all Medicare brokers are on your side.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For the price of a chocolate bar, own a truly massive 16 TB.
Confusing. And not all Medicare brokers are on your side. In fact, the Department of Justice is suing 3 of the largest Medicare brokers in the country for allegedly misrepresenting themselves as unbiased while steering seniors into plans that paid the largest kickbacks. The dirty secret? This is how the Medicare landscape largely operates. So I researched this company, and I think Chapter is a great antidote to that. Chapter is the only Medicare advisor in the country that compares every Medicare plan available to you from every insurance company. Over 24,000 plans nationwide. Their advisors are honest, salaried, and have no incentive to steer you into any particular plan. They find the plan that fits your doctors, your medications, and your budget, not the plan that pays them the most. And if you're already on the right plan, they'll let you know. If you have any questions at all, call Chapter today at 314-732-0108. The call's free and you'll talk to a real person. I mean, everyone's situation is different, but on average, people who work with Chapter have saved $1,100 a year. That's real money. Again, their number is 314-732-0108. Call Chapter today. Okay, back to longevity and race. If the most popular explanations are weaker than advertised, what actually holds up? A few things. Start with economics, but with a little bit of an asterisk. Income is a powerful predictor of life expectancy across every racial group. Poor people die younger. That's not even controversial. And Black Americans are disproportionately poor, which clearly contributes to the gap. But here's the asterisk. When you look at this by income class, the gaps don't change much. Black Americans with college degrees have worse health outcomes than white and Hispanic Americans with only high school diplomas. A wealthy Black American is still not as healthy, on average, as a comparably wealthy white American. So poverty matters for people of all ethnic backgrounds, but it's not the driving differentiator I thought it might be. Healthcare access is a more concrete structural factor. Some studies show Black Americans who are insured receive measurably worse care on average, less likely to be referred to specialists or offered medical options even with the same coverage. I have to say, though, when it gets into some of the research in this area, you need to pay extra close attention because some of these studies, they pretend to be research when they're really designed to give public relations support to a related cause. For instance, if you want more Black doctors in America, a study showing that white doctors are too likely to misunderstand Black physiology, that's a good talking point. If you want to park in a poor neighborhood, a relational study that implies you're cutting lives short if you don't support more parks, politicians react to that. And these studies that I've seen, some of them actually misrepresent the truth enough that it's hard to accept it as just a mistake. Segregation, though, is a much more compelling structural argument, and it deserves more attention than it usually gets. Not because of some abstract notion of separation, but because of what segregation actually does in practice. It concentrates poverty in ways that amplify its effects. A poor person in a mixed-income neighborhood has access to better schools, safer streets, and more economic opportunity than an equally poor person in a hyper-segregated neighborhood. Segregated neighborhoods, they tend to have fewer hospitals, fewer specialists, older infrastructure, and higher exposure to environmental hazards like lead. Those are direct material disadvantages with well-documented health consequences. And then there's genetics, another conversation that gets people tweaky. But if we're being honest with ourselves, the evidence on this, it's hard to ignore completely. People of West African descent have measurably higher rates of high blood pressure than people of European descent. And this disparity shows up in Africa too, even before any exposure to American poverty or food environments. That strongly suggests a genuine genetic component, not purely a social one. And there's also solid research on salt sensitivity. Black Americans appear to metabolize sodium differently with a greater blood pressure response, which, combined with high sodium diets, amplifies risk. Black men also have a significantly higher rate of aggressive prostate cancer than any other group. That's a disparity that persists across income levels and healthcare access. Now, none of this means that genetics is the answer. It means genetics and behavior and structure, they all interact. And a genetic predisposition to hypertension, it becomes far more deadly when you have chronic stress or a high sodium diet or limited healthcare access. All of these things always mix together. So the question isn't which single factor is the cause, it's understanding how they combine. As always, if I mess up something serious here, let me know. I'll address it in the comments. You can also find my sources and notes in the description box. Okay, so now let's look at what nobody wants to talk about, because there's a reason certain explanations are largely missing from the conversation about Black health, and it has nothing to do with truth or science. Because suggesting that behavioral or cultural factors contribute to the life expectancy gap can get you labeled a racist very quick. And in academics or medicine, that can be career-ending. So researchers learn quickly which questions are safe to talk about and which they should stay away from. And the result is a body of public health literature that in some areas is more shaped by professional self-preservation than scientific curiosity. That's a huge problem, because the explanations that don't get asked about are in some cases the ones with the most explanatory power. To be fair though, the racism-focused framework, it corrected a genuine historical wrong. For a long time, health disparities were explained away with junk science about biological racial inferiority. I mean, that history is real and a correction was necessary. But there is such a thing as an overcorrection, and it comes at a cost. And the cost here is that behavioral, cultural, and genetic factors get systemically underexplored, and that ultimately hurts the people this research is supposed to help. So let's talk about them. Start with obesity. It's unglamorous and it's uncomfortable, and it's likely to be one of the most powerful drivers of the life expectancy gap. Black adults have the highest obesity rates of any racial group in the country. About 42% of all Black adults in America are obese. The women's obesity rate is nearly double that of white women. And obesity, it's not an abstraction. It directly drives hypertension, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, all chronic conditions that are killing Blacks at disproportionate rates. You can't have an honest conversation about the life expectancy gap and treat obesity as a footnote. And here's where it gets complicated. Again, a middle-class Black woman has a higher obesity rate than comparably affluent white women. That gap persists even after you control for income, neighborhood, or access to healthy food, which means something beyond economics is at work, something psychological, cultural, genetic, or a combination of all three. It's important to note that higher body weight is more culturally accepted in most sectors of the Black community. Maybe that's sensitive, but it's a documented thing. And if it's contributing to shortened lives, it's worth a conversation. Then there's heart disease. It's the leading killer of Black Americans, and it accounts for a fair share of the life expectancy gap. Black Americans die from cardiovascular disease at significantly higher rates than white Americans, and at younger ages. Of course, that's downstream from the things we've been talking about. Some genetics, some lifestyle behaviors, and those lifestyle behaviors can be changed, and that would certainly save lives. So that framing makes researchers uncomfortable because it can sound like victim blaming. Nonetheless, that doesn't make it less true. It just means fewer people will hear something that might save their lives. Lifestyle-influenced chronic diseases, they account for more than half of the life expectancy gap, according to some estimates. Now, I got to say, the estimates on all of these things, it just depends on which study you're looking at. But a recurrent theme is that the conventional wisdom points people away from interventions that are the most likely to make a difference. There also might be a cultural reluctance to engage with the medical system. A 2024 Pew study found that 51% of Black Americans believes the U.S. healthcare system was designed to hold down Black people. Now, whether that stems from personal experiences or historical patterns, that's tough to distinguish. But the practical consequence today is that it delays care seeking. And conditions caught later, they're just harder to treat. Cancers, they get worse. Chronic diseases, if they're not managed properly, they can become catastrophic. So a distrust of the system, for whatever reason, has a body count. Also, cultural attitudes towards mental health treatment compounds it. Black Americans are significantly less likely to seek mental health care than white Americans, even with symptoms that are comparable. And untreated depression, anxiety, they all have downstream effects on physical health. And finally, another sucky number that puts everything else in perspective when it's even brought up at all: murder. Homicide is the leading cause of death for Black men between the ages of 15 and 34. Life expectancy, it's calculated as an average across the entire population. So when a significant number of people in a group die in their teens or 20s or 30s, it drags down the average dramatically. And the numbers are huge. Over 12,000 Black Americans were homicide victims in 2023. 85% of those were male. Per capita, black men were 6 times more likely to be murdered than white men. Again, studies vary, but when researchers run the numbers on black life expectancy with homicide removed, the black-white gap narrows substantially. Not to zero, but substantially. So where does this all leave us? A century ago, there was a simpler story. Black Americans were dying younger because the system was stacked against them. Racism wasn't just a factor, it was the overwhelming factor. Today, it's messier. Structural barriers haven't disappeared entirely, but they've shrunk dramatically. And still, the gap hasn't disappeared, which means it's being driven by a more complicated mix of everything we've talked about here. Anyone who tells you it's simply one thing is either not that smart or they're selling you something. Closing this life expectancy gap the rest of the way, it's going to be hard to fix because even the problems are hard to find and address. And they're not going to be easily solved by a new law or funding some new program. They're going to require tough conversations that aren't currently being had in our society and new solutions to them. Hey, if you like this video, there's a couple others you also might find interesting. One dives into the deeper issue of why poor people are more likely to be.
And good morning. And good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And good morning.
Good
Grand
morning.
Rising.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Grand
everyone.
Rising, Grand Rising, Grand
Grand
Rising.
Rising. Grand Rising.
Grand Rising.
Morning.
Healthcare, homicide, the system, the structure. Is it genetic? What is it? This is a serious conversation. And Atomians need to be on top of their game. We need to know. How are you, Dr. Antoinette?
I'm well, thank you, CJ. How are you?
Always good.
Praise God.
If I'm down, I'm up. If I'm up, I'm up. And I always stay up.
Good, good, good. That's real good.
So I'm going to go ahead and just bring on stage the company intro, and I'll ask you to do us the honors. And I think we're going to have an interesting show today as we talk about these beauty care products and the Cosmeta Millionaire Crusade. So, any words before we get going, Dr. Antoinette? I'm giving you you see, I'm putting you on stage for a minute.
I'm putting me on the spot, but it's for a little bit I could do.
Okay.
I'll take this opportunity to welcome everybody on the call. Whether you're new or you've been here regularly, welcome. Grand Rising, welcome, welcome to Momentum Mornings, where we support one another with education, motivation, inspiration, just advice to one another. We're all here to do Atomy business, to make money, to help our family, to help ourselves. Atomy has a great health products and skincare products and things. And I look forward to Momentum Morning, where CJ provides at the top of the show inspirational messages that helps our life. So welcome, welcome. If you are brand new or you haven't talked on this program yet, please unmute yourself so that we can get to know you a little bit, know at least your name and who invited you to the meeting today. Welcome.
Indeed. And for those who might be new on the call, just in case you do not know how to unmute yourself, at the bottom of your device, kind of to the left, there is an icon that looks like a microphone. You tap it ever so gently, you unmute, and when you're done, you tap it again, and you mute. And we observe the protocol. We watch and monitor our mute button so there's no disturbance as we go into the call. So, thank you, Dr. Antoinette. We'll just give anyone that is new here a moment to compose. Welcome.
I'll take this opportunity.
There's a company that has made the seemingly impossible become reality. Starting from a small country to USA, Canada, Japan, Southeast Asia, and now South America. A global company with 4 million active members across 11 countries, growing beyond its home market and quickly gaining notice across the world. A company that received the $50 million Export Award in 2017. With extraordinary growth since its foundation in 2009. Global sales reached about $1 billion in 2017 and continues to show steady growth. Going beyond customer satisfaction, fulfilling customer success. We are Atomy. Beginning with health and beauty products, Atomy's various products include food, living, fashion, and home products. Figures released by the Korea Fair Trade Commission show that Hemohim was top in the industry in sales volume for 3 straight years. While the Skincare 6 system was the best-selling cosmetic product. The new Absolute Skincare set released in 2017 was chosen by many consumers and is becoming a revolutionary skincare product. These figures indicate how much Atomy products are satisfying consumers around the world. However, Atomy's true value lies in the company's inner side. Atomy uses its Mastige strategy, providing benefits to consumers with absolute quality at absolute prices, while also increasing quality of life for our members. Atomy supports cooperative companies so they can do their best to maintain the best quality, so customers can get top quality products at affordable prices, creating a culture that benefits the growth of all parties involved. Third, culture of sharing. The company is a part of a society, and Atomy is pushing to become a role model in creating a better society by promoting the culture of sharing and communication between company and society. To live, to love, to learn, and to share. We hope Atomy can become the life partner that leads to your success. Cherishing the spirit. We are proud Atomy.
Yes, indeed, we are proud Atomy. We are proud of the products. We are proud of the leadership. We are proud of the compensation plan. And before we go any further, in case you are new here this morning, never heard of the feature product. And by the way, talking about feature, we have a feature presentation this morning. I think you're going to love it because Atomy, the company, and the beauty care, skincare products that we have in this company, in this shopping mall, phenomenal. You've got to understand that this thing called the Cosmeto Millionaire Crusade movement, call it what you will. It's time for us to unveil and get down to business with some real wonderful products that we have here in our wellness store. Skincare, hair care, beauty care, supplements, and we could go on and on and on. Absolute products, absolute price. So allow me to feature the number one standalone product in all of Atomy. The product actually that caused the Atomy company to come alive. We have Atomy today because of Hemohim. Let's watch this. And this is a shortened version. We have so many versions of the Hemohim in terms of videos that we can disseminate, and we need to put them in our catalog, in our archive, so in our toolbox. So you're never out of material. Don't talk about it. Just play the video. Send the video. Can I send you a video? Okay, I need your number. You send the video, and it does the heavy lifting. You don't need to say anything. Watch this.
This is exactly how I would learn AI in 2026. Check this out. Let's be honest, most people over 40.
This HemoHim product is pretty incredible. Really quick, I just want you to understand, the newcomers, that this HemoHim was not produced, again, for the general mass, which is us. It was originated in a laboratory that's funded by the Republic of South Korea's government, so the taxpayers of South Korea, actually, we need to thank them. They are funding this company just like us. We pay taxes in the U.S. Our tax dollars go to the federal government, Pentagon, NASA, so on and so forth. So this product, what is it? For those of you that are wondering, please don't just take it because somebody told you to take it. You need to figure out and do your own due diligence and research to see why this product is working for you. First thing, this product is not just for sick people. It is not a medicine. It will not fix your ailment. But what it will do is it will enhance your lifestyle. The reason why is when you ingest this, it will kickstart your natural killer cells. That means it's your first line of your immunity defense system. As we are aging, I look around the room, and majority of us are in the baby boomer era, 1946 to 1964. On top of that, we're living longer because we're eating better, we're drinking better. So the longer you live, the more we have to fight aging, in essence. This HemoHim will protect your first line of defense. If your first line of defense in your immune system is damaged, you will be guaranteed to get sick. You will not be able to fight off any deadly pathogens that may come your way. So please take this seriously. Don't just take one and think something's going to happen, because we have something called body mass, right? So minimum, like my size, I take about 4 a day. Right? I love it because it makes me feel good. It gives me energy. It will balance out my red and white blood cells, and this oxygenates your blood. Something that is very, very important, because we can live out without certain organs, but if I strip all the blood and oxygen out of your human body, you will become a corpse, period. So this is a very, very serious product. Please try it. If you don't like it, it's okay. You will get used to it. Give any of our products at least 30 days before you say no.
Yeah, give it 30 days. Give it 60 days. Give it 90 days. Give it a year. I don't care. It's all about taking the products that will enhance your lifestyle. That's important. So whether it be the probiotics, the spirulina, the fermented noni, those ethereal herbal patches, and they're so good. Your vitamins, your C, your B complex, your D3, your saw palmetto. Come, guys, let's get busy with it. Let's get busy with it. I do not know what might be the challenge you might be facing. You know, we had a very good inspirational video this morning. I don't know. It's a conversation. Is it genetic? Is it the environment? Is it a lifestyle issue? Is it a structural issue? Whatever it may be, this is that moment in time when you take action. Your health, folks, let me say it again. Your health is your wealth. Your wealth is your health. Protect your health. Protect your wealth. Okay. So a quick testimonial this morning. It's been a minute. We haven't had a testimonial. I give anyone who is ready, raring to go. We'll take one testimonial this morning real quick. Here we go.
I have a testimony.
I can hardly wait.
I am a skeptic by training. I have to determine if things are real or just someone's figment of their imagination. There's a lot of reasons why we may like something and it may not all be factual. But anyway,
Oh, by the
I
way, before, pardon me, Dr.
yeah,
Antoinette,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the first thing that jumped out at me as we engaged was,
Hmm.
what a skeptic. That's okay. And yes, what that's okay is nothing disparaging. And I recall, if you recall my saying to you, hmm, you could be a real good forensic detective.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. We had talks, and you can tell that I check
okay,
everything out. I check
okay,
everything
okay.
out.
So here we go.
And it
What?
takes quite a bit to convince me of something, especially if it's outside of the typical medicine that I've learned. Okay.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm 60 something and I have some pains in my knee and my back, right? So I
Hmm.
decided, let me try this patch myself. It would be wonderful if it works, right? So yesterday I had pain in my knee, and I periodically have pain in my knee because I was diagnosed with a meniscal tear, which means the cartilage in your knee is damaged. And the surgeon I talked with, he didn't give me much time of his time when I visited him, so I didn't want to have surgery by him. And so the after just resting it from playing pickleball, because I used to play pickleball quite a bit, when I rested it for a couple months, the swelling, the pain, everything went away. I was able to walk fine with no pain, no swelling and such. So I went back to playing pickleball and I was able to do that. So periodically I have pain and swelling, but it goes away if I rest it. So
Hmm.
I had played recently more than usual. And I was having some throbbing pain in my knee. And I'm the kind of person, I don't like to take pain medication because I don't think we should cover up pain. Pain means something.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. But I know what this pain is from. So, and I'm not going to put a patch on and then go play pickleball. But I'm walking around my place and it's there. It's stabbing, it's throbbing, it's hurting me. And so I said, well, let me try this patch. And I put it on, and within 30 minutes, the pain completely went away. Completely. And
Wow.
it left, it had a soothing, like a cooling sensation in the area, but no pain, no pain. And it lasted I didn't take the patch off till nighttime. They say you're supposed to only leave it on for 4 hours, and I think it's because the substance could irritate some people's skin. But
No.
it didn't. I left it on longer than that. I left it on all day until I went to bed, and then I took it off. And this morning, I still have no pain. I don't have the patch on, but I don't have any pain in my knee either. That's my
Wow.
testimony. It works.
Hallelujah.
It works, y'all. It works.
Oh my
Hallelujah.
God. You know, before I get into the meat of the matter, let me just extract the word pain. Yeah. Do you know how many people around us are in pain? You have no idea. I think there are folks out there that very likely they have a high tolerance. Yeah, I want us to just pause for a minute and think about it. When folks are in pain, and thanks for the testimony, Dr. Antoinette, you have sold me.
You're welcome.
You sold me. Yes. And I'm going to say something when I'm done with this uh, subject of pain. People are in so much pain that they can't even listen. So there you go, talking about Atomy, talking about the product and how good it is. And the person is going, yeah, yeah, all right, okay. But you know something? They're not able to absorb the information, which is why I say send the video. Because when you think they are listening, they are not listening. And for so many reasons, people have tuned out. Psychological pain, emotional pain, physical pain, pain. And for those of us who are here this morning, please understand that no oftentimes doesn't mean no. It means not now. Not now when I'm in so much pain. Not now when I can't focus. Please, please, please. That's a big, big, big nugget right there. Pain. Pain makes it difficult for folks to make decisions. They go to bed with pain, they wake up with pain. We spoke about it yesterday. This constant thing that we struggle with, that we don't even understand the extent to which it's affecting our life. This modern age, and we struggle with loneliness, we struggle with nutrition issues, all kind of issues. Okay, so Dr. Antoinette, I have used that ethereal oil patch. Notice I didn't say pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's a reason why. Because the first time I used it, nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, all these people just hyping up this thing. Because I've been on, that Thursday night call, and folks, don't miss it. If you are true hardcore Atomian, you want to stay plugged in. Your Thursday night, your Friday night, in fact, as often as you can tune in, please do. And so I'm hearing these testimonies about the pain patch. They say pain patch. So I use it, and nothing happened. And I said, let me try
Used
again.
it for what? Oh, you're going to tell us that later.
What I want to say is, for you, it happened in 30 minutes. For me, it's a day later. It's after 2 or 3 uses.
Oh, okay.
I'm so pain-free, it's not funny.
Okay.
And I say this because oftentimes the effect of the hemohim, the noni, the vitamin C, the probiotic, it might not be immediate. And the lady said this morning, give it 30 days. We all react differently to medication, to supplementation, whatever it is. So I'm so happy that you shared your testimony this morning, Dr. Antoinette. And by the way, I work off testimonials. Testimonials are powerful. The Bible says, faith cometh by hearing. Another scripture says that how will the people know, or will they hear if the preacher doesn't preach? So I'm not going to get into the preacher stuff, but I thrive off the testimonials, and there are others who are knowing the while you don't know it, they are listening and they're saying, let me try that. The first time I used the laundry, the sheet, was after I heard a number of testimonies say, I got to try this thing. And that's what we do. Thank you, Dr. Antoinette, so much. And for those of us who are looking for results instantly, hello, we're all different. Some, it will work instant. For others, the homeostasis will set in maybe a day or two later, but keep using it.
I don't know where you put it. I'm curious as to, and you don't have to say if you don't want to, but it may have something to do with the absorption, the distance from the patch and where the.
I put it right on the area.
Okay.
I was having a bit of the upper part of my foot. Yeah. For a minute, I was having, what's going on here?
Okay.
And I used it, nothing happened. I said, these guys are just hyping, and it doesn't work.
Okay. Okay.
So
The other thing that comes to mind is the perfusion, the blood supply in the area. Let me explain. So because this works so well on my knee, now the patch itself and my joint, it's not that far. The diffusion of the ingredients to my cartilage, it's not far for it to get to. It's very close. You understand? As opposed to, say, I put it maybe on my belly or on my back. I felt so good with my knee, I decided to put it on my back. So I put another patch on my lower back, and the pain in my back is a longer situation than my knee. So I would say it's a more chronic and maybe even more serious. Not that I'm going to die from it, but that it is it's well proven that that is a situation that's a problem chronically, you know, as opposed to a younger problem. So I put it on my low back, and I would say it took maybe 60% or 80% of the pain, maybe 70% of the pain away. It didn't completely take the pain away, but it felt a lot more comfortable. And I'm thinking, well, you know, it's an older injury to my back, and maybe where it has to diffuse to the active ingredients and to peppermint and eucalyptus is in there, and so it does help with circulation as well. So, you know, maybe it's just harder for it to get to the area of concern in my back as opposed to my knee. It was closer. Just a thought. Some things.
Question.
But, yeah.
Question for Dr. Antoinette, really quick.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Because where I'm at right now, I've come to the conclusion that it may, for me, it's a matter of a delay. Somehow my metabolism, how I'm made up. But once it gets in, that's the end of pain.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Is that possible?
That's possible. Yes, that's possible. Yeah.
Because the occasional pain that used to come and go, it is just like it does not persist anymore.
Are you using it every day, or
no?
You just used it for a few days and stopped?
Yeah, and
and the results are persisting.
No, it's there's no the pain, all the discomfort that used to be there every now and then. It's just like it's no history. I'm saying, wow.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing that
it didn't happen right away. It took something. The thought was just keep using it. Just see what happens.
Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm going to do more research on it. It's very interesting.
And that's one of the reasons why I really am so in love with this company and the range of products, because it is globally sourced, global sales, global sourcing, global sales. So the company is going to where the product is good. The Manuka honey, that's Australia. The propolis, the rainforest are from Amazon and Brazil, and on and on and on and on and on. So it makes me comfortable when I talk about the products, when I use these products. The omegas, the anchovy. We are going to where the fish is not polluted. No trace of the heavy metals there. And I love that about the company. We are taking care of business. The fermented noni, exclusively grown in Java Island, Indonesia. Nothing to pollute our supplements. Anyway, everyone is so quiet. No one is clapping. No one is saying hooray. I see no emojis. What a shame.
Hip hip, hooray for both of you.
You know, that's what I like about you.
I was just listening quietly to hear the full testimony.
Yes, sir.
And I'm very happy for both people that have spoken, Antoinette and yourself, CJ, because, you know, I know Antoinette very well for a very long time, and she's not easily convinced. She's a very naturally oriented person. So for her to give something a chance and then see that it works is a blessing in itself for her, because she's relieved of her pain. But also, it's an intervention that she probably would rather not have, undertaken. But if she sold herself, she's going to be able to sell, her experience to others. And she's already a compassionate person. That's why she went into medicine. And this is a great joy for me to hear as her friend, who has observed her going through some challenges at times with her discomforts and pain. So I'm very pleased to hear about that for her. I'm also pleased to hear about it for you because you hung in there. You just didn't give up after one administration or two administrations. So as you both said, it can have a different effect on different people's physiology, different people's psychology, etc. And
Yeah.
I may have to break down and try it myself from this testimony.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Ted, you know, appreciate you,
Whether I
man.
need it or not, it may do something good for me too.
Does what it does. And so we all need to be so proactive about our health. Mm-hmm. Even if something might be of a genetic nature, you know, family thing, you can do some stuff to enhance your health, improve your life. We change lives for better. Thank you, Ted. So, with all that said, I think it's about time I bring on stage feature presentation, this thing called the Cosmeto Millionaire Movement. It is something that for the next several months and going forward, there's got to be the need for a mind shift, an attitude shift for us to understand that we have some products here in the store, in your warehouse, on the shelf that can really, really seriously make you money. We might not have the time to go into it today, but the good news is that we have our Freestyle Fridays, we have our Freestyle Mondays, and we can have conversation. This Momentum Mornings, really at the core, it's about wellness, and it is all about conversation. So, without any further ado, let's just watch this quick movie. And there's so much. This is a jam-packed morning. I don't think we're gonna get through everything, but I must play this movie because there's a lot to unpack from this movie. If you have skin, you're in a Cosmeto Millionaire story.
Wait, the AI just does it all. You didn't touch anything?
Not one trade. I put in $100.
This is a true story, inspired by the real-life journey of America's first self-made female millionaire. In the late 19th century, inside a poor black neighborhood in America, a struggling woman had just finished a free hair treatment. While the owner wasn't looking, she secretly stole 20 boxes of hair growth cream. Then she headed straight to the town's busiest marketplace and began passionately telling her tragic life story. Unexpectedly, her words moved people, and all 20 boxes sold out in no time. But instead of keeping the money, she went back to the shop owner, Addie, and handed over every cent, hoping to prove her talent in sales. Yet Addie was furious over what she saw as near theft. So when Walker asked to become a sales agent, Addie rejected her with a cruel, racist insult. "Even in your best suit, you look like you just stepped off a plantation." But Addie had no idea. Her refusal would create her biggest rival and spark a million-dollar empire. Walker had once been a washerwoman at the very bottom of society. She worked tirelessly, but no matter how hard she tried, poverty never left her side. Years of contact with harsh laundry chemicals made her hair fall out. To make things worse, her husband, who had just been released from prison, didn't comfort her. Instead, he mocked her, saying, "You look like a mangy dog." Then he left her. Just when Walker thought her life couldn't get any darker, a woman walked through her door and changed everything. From then on, Walker washed Addie's clothes, and in return, Addie treated her hair for free. After 2 years of care, Walker's hair grew back thick and healthy. Around that time, she also met a kind man who became her new husband. Meanwhile, the miracle results of Addie's cream made Walker realize there was a business opportunity. She asked Addie if she could help sell the product, but Addie chose a light-skinned girl with a sweet face, someone who knew nothing about the cream, over Walker, who knew the product inside out. Even though Walker had brought Addie many new customers and sold 20 more boxes herself, Addie still rejected her for being too ugly and too dark. Those words cut deep, straight into Walker's heart. Seeing his wife in pain, her husband comforted and encouraged her. That support became her source of courage. Walker started studying every book she could find about hair care and Combining it with what she'd learned from Addie's formula, she created her own hair growth cream. It smelled even softer and fresher than Addie's. Since she wasn't sure about the formula's balance, she decided to test it on her daughter. After countless experiments, Walker finally made a product she was proud of. Its remarkable results brought hope to many women and a steady stream of loyal customers. But as her success grew, so did the trouble. Addie, afraid Walker had copied her, stormed into her shop furious. She threatened to have Walker thrown in jail if she found any sign of imitation. She sniffed Walker's cream. The scent was clearly different. But Addie didn't stop. Her words were sharp and cruel. She vowed to crush Walker's business and make her go back to being a lowly washerwoman. But those threats only fueled Walker's determination. She saw a glimpse of light and refused to back down. Because her cream worked so well, orders started pouring in even from Indianapolis. One of her friend's sisters-in-law ordered a big batch, and that gave Walker the confidence to expand. She decided to move her family to Indianapolis, where there was a large black community, even though her husband strongly disagreed. To him, it wasn't a smart move, but Walker was firm. In the end, Jack gave in. Right before they left, her daughter shocked everyone. She suddenly married a poor musician. Walker was stunned. She couldn't accept a lazy son-in-law with no ambition. On his first day at work, the young man read gossip magazines instead of helping. Walker couldn't stand it, but rather than kick him out, she told him to at least sweep the floor. Watching her daughter depend so much on a man with no drive, Walker spoke from experience. She told her daughter to focus on her own future, that no one could be trusted but yourself. But her daughter, blinded by love, didn't understand. Still, one thing did make Walker proud. Her daughter was a natural at sales. With her husband's help, Walker's company was soon up and running. But when he proposed flashy ads with fake claims, Walker refused. She insisted on using her true story, because real stories touch people. When the grand opening finally arrived, they stood by the door, full of excitement, but not a single customer showed up. Instead of giving up, Walker studied the methods of top businessmen to improve her strategy. Her husband, on the other hand, grew more frustrated. Facing financial strain, Jack told her she should go back to doing laundry. That broke Walker's heart. They eventually agreed. If things didn't improve in 2 weeks, they'd shut it all down and try something safer. But deep inside, Walker knew one thing for sure. She would never go back to being a washerwoman. To boost her sales, Walker started handing out flyers every single day, promoting her product to as many people as she could. But it was during the Great Depression, a time when most people could barely afford food and clothing, let alone hair care. Even though she faced rejection after rejection, Walker never gave up. She knew that in a new and unfamiliar market, only smart marketing could open doors. So she went to the local marketplace where women gathered in crowds. Standing tall, she called out, "Want a better station in life? Need to make more money? Come on, let me show you how." Her words struck a chord with every housewife there. Curious eyes turned toward her. Then she began sharing her own story, how her hair loss had led to her husband abandoning her, and how she had been turned away from job after job. Her raw honesty moved everyone. At the perfect moment, she offered to give free hair treatments. That gesture won over the entire crowd. In just minutes, every single jar of her hair growth cream was sold out. Soon, Walker's home became a bustling hair care center, filled with clients eager to try her products. But as business flourished, she realized that running a beauty salon from her house wouldn't last forever. She needed to expand, to open a factory and build a real production line. But first, she'd need a good lawyer. Through her husband's connections, she met a lawyer who, despite his talent, was forced to work as a porter at the train station because of racial discrimination. Walker admired his intelligence and offered him a real opportunity. And soon, he joined her growing team. But just as her business was taking off, Addie suddenly appeared, traveling miles to open her own beauty salon on the busiest street in town. Determined to crush Walker, Addie pulled every dirty trick she could. Though she herself was of African descent, she despised darker-skinned black people. One Sunday morning, she strutted into a black church wearing a face full of disgust. Before the pastor could even speak, she marched straight to the front and loudly announced her salon's grand opening, right in front of the entire congregation. She even mocked Walker, sneering that her so-called beauty parlor was nothing more than a kitchen workshop. At that moment, Walker felt her anger rise. She rushed into the restroom, trying to calm herself, but Addie's cruel words echoed in her head. In the mirror, she saw her old, insecure self staring back. In a flash of emotion, she slammed her fist into the mirror. The sharp pain brought her clarity and a bold idea. She ran back out before the crowd dispersed and made a shocking announcement. All products were now buy one, get one free. Instantly, orders poured in like a tidal wave. Everyone worked overtime mixing and packing, but the demand was overwhelming. Then, disaster struck. Her careless son-in-law, sneaking out for a smoke, ignored the open flame in the kitchen and caused a massive explosion. Within seconds, all their products, materials, and even the house itself went up in flames. Afterward, he still had the nerve to claim it wasn't his fault, that it was just an accident. moment. Watching everything she'd built burn to ashes broke Walker's heart. But before she could recover, Addie showed up outside her ruined studio, offering free treatments to her customers, blatantly stealing them right in front of her eyes. Listening to Addie's fake sympathy, Walker's sadness vanished, replaced by pure determination. That fire reignited her fighting spirit. Now, she was more determined than ever to build her own factory. With her husband and lawyers' help, Walker organized a meeting with the town's wealthiest investors. She promised them a 20% return, far above market rates, hoping it would win their support. But without a guarantor, the investors backed out, calling it too risky. Just when everyone thought it was over, a poster gave Walker a new idea. She decided to find a respected local black leader to endorse her project. She wrote letters, sent telegrams, but none were answered. Still, she refused to give up. Thanks to her lawyer's wife, Walker finally got tickets to the upcoming Booker T. Washington conference. To be safe, her lawyer also prepared a backup plan. One of the wealthy morticians they'd met seemed genuinely interested in investing. If she could convince him, the others would likely follow. So, Walker paid the mortician a visit. But not long after, she returned home pale and shaken. Her father-in-law noticed immediately and pressed her to explain. Through tears, Walker confessed. That man had tried to take advantage of her during their meeting. Thankfully, she had brought her pistol and managed to escape. Walker didn't know how to tell her husband, but her father-in-law stopped her. He knew if Jack found out, he'd go after the man, and it would destroy both their business and their marriage. Yet the worst was still to come. Her lazy son-in-law, who dreamed only of opening his own hotel and cutting ties with the family, secretly visited Addie's salon while pretending to shop for paint. Under Addie's flattery and a few glasses of wine, he revealed everything. He told her that Walker was trying to get Booker T. Washington to endorse her business. And so, when Madam Walker was eagerly preparing to meet Mr. Booker T. Washington, she never imagined that he would call out Addie's name instead, inviting her on stage and praising her in front of every businessman in the room. That moment crushed Walker completely. With no other choice, she turned her hopes toward Mrs. Washington. To build a connection, she offered to do her hair for free. But when she sincerely asked her to persuade her husband to endorse her, Mrs. Washington flatly refused, saying she never interfered in her husband's business. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, Walker noticed Mr. Washington heading to the restroom. She quickly urged her husband to seize the chance and invite him over for dinner. 2 minutes later, her husband returned with good news. Booker T. Washington had agreed to join them that evening. Walker's heart filled with hope again. Determined to make a good impression, she locked herself in her room and practiced her speech over and over, preparing every word she would say to win his support. But when the evening came, Mr. Washington never showed up. Confused, Walker asked her husband what had happened. That's when she learned the awful truth. Her husband had accidentally locked the restroom door, which made Washington think he was being attacked. He even pulled a weapon on him. The agreement he had mentioned earlier was nothing but an excuse to get away. Out of options, Walker asked her lawyer to call in a favor and reach out again. But Washington had been so frightened he outright refused. With only a week left before the factory lease expired, and knowing the failure was caused by her husband's blunder, Walker's anger and frustration finally exploded. The party ended abruptly. Heartbroken, Walker sat alone, eating in silence to ease the pain. But little did she know, her top saleswoman had already been bought off by Addie. While Walker buried herself in work and neglected her husband, that same saleswoman was secretly tearing their marriage apart. Years of insecurity and neglect had already built a wall between them, and now it was starting to crumble. Still focused on her dream, Walker suddenly had a new idea when she saw the hair tonic she had prepared for Mrs. Washington. She immediately called and invited her over for a private hair treatment, but when she once again asked for help convincing her husband, the answer was the same, a firm rejection. So Walker spoke from the heart. She pointed out the sad truth about every woman in the room. Despite their education and intelligence, many even smarter than their husbands, they were still trapped in the shadows of men, afraid to step into the light. She even revealed how she had almost been assaulted by a mortician while seeking investment, showing just how hard life was for black women. Her honesty quietly changed Mrs. Washington's perception of her. Soon after, Walker attended Booker T. Washington's public speech. Ignoring her husband's attempts to stop her, she boldly walked onto the stage and directly asked him to vouch for her. Then she launched into a fiery speech, explaining how her business could create real jobs for black women and giving a voice to those who had long been silenced behind their husbands. The crowd was stunned. On stage, Washington praised her confidence, but in private, he told others her behavior was rude and improper. And when Walker mentioned she planned to pay her female workers more than men, he became furious. He scolded her harshly and told her flat out that he would never endorse a black woman like her. The rejection hit her hard, but Walker refused to give up. She set her sights on their house. But when she asked her husband to mortgage it for a loan, he instantly refused. Walker had always insisted that Madam C.J. Walker's hair company belonged to her alone, not as joint property. family, and that had deeply wounded his pride. As a man living under his wife's shadow, it was something he could never accept. Their marriage finally broke beyond repair. Then, out of nowhere, came a surprise. When Walker opened her door one day, she found Mrs. Washington standing there with a group of well-dressed ladies. Even without her husband's endorsement, these women were ready to invest in her. But while Walker was celebrating with her new investors, a storm was brewing behind her back. Her son-in-law, tempted by money, had joined Addie's side and agreed to steal the hair tonic formula. Walker had no idea that her own family had already been bought off. With the new investment, her factory was built quickly. Under her leadership, she assembled an elite sales team. But as the company grew, her husband's old-fashioned mindset clashed hard with her ambition. Meanwhile, Addie's business was on the verge of collapse. Desperate to win, she decided to fight dirty, seducing Walker's top saleswoman Dora, who then took advantage of Walker's absence in Los Angeles to get close to Jack. At the same time, Dora secretly convinced 4 of Walker's best sales agents to defect to Addie's company with the promise of high pay. But it didn't stop there. Walker's son-in-law broke into her office while no one was home and stole the entire ingredient list for her hair formula. So when Walker returned from New York, having just secured a deal to get her products into the country's biggest drugstore chain, her lawyer delivered devastating news. Addie had poached 5 of her top salespeople. To fix the damage, Walker decided to confront them herself. But when she arrived at Dora's house, she was shocked to find her husband there, half-dressed. And then came the insult. He claimed he was only there to convince Dora to come back. Faced with his betrayal, Walker's heart shattered completely. Even if she still loved him, she could never forgive him. What she didn't know was that this scandal would soon destroy the biggest business deal of her life and stop her company from entering the national market. That day, while Madam Walker was showing investors from a New York drugstore chain around her factory, her drunken husband suddenly burst in, shouting and claiming that the factory belonged to him. Because of the ownership dispute, the visitors quickly ended the tour, saying they had to catch a train. Fortunately, Walker's father-in-law later learned from a friend who worked at Addie's salon that her son-in-law had been spending a lot of time with Addie and was planning to steal Walker's secret hair formula. Thanks to the timely discovery, they caught him before the formula was leaked. Soon after, Walker's daughter divorced him. After suffering so much loss and betrayal, Walker was completely exhausted. Seeing her mother's sorrow, her daughter comforted her and suggested they go to church to find some peace. But when they arrived, they saw Walker's once most trusted employee standing right behind Addie. At that moment, all Walker felt was deep disappointment and helplessness. Yet, with her daughter's encouragement, she found the strength to keep going. She decided to send her daughter to New York to continue her education and expand their beauty business into Harlem. She looked at her daughter and said, "You and me, we gotta work harder, be smarter, and get rich. From now on, I'm putting my face on all the ads in the tins." With her mother's full support, her daughter soon opened a chain store in New York. One day, after sobering up, Jack came to sincerely apologize for his mistakes. But after everything he'd done, betraying her in both business and marriage, Walker couldn't forgive him. So when Jack pulled out a ring, she firmly refused and kicked him out of the house.
Yep. It's called a home equity agreement. And I got $143,000.
Jack pulled out a ring, she firmly refused and kicked him out of the house. Later, Walker moved to New York herself and bought a house right next door to oil tycoon Rockefeller. But fate had other plans. Just when everything seemed to be going well, tragedy struck. Walker suddenly collapsed at a party. After an examination, doctors confirmed she had an incurable disease. Her kidneys were failing day by day. Faced with this cruel truth, she chose to keep it a secret from her family. Her behavior after leaving the hospital left her daughter puzzled. Despite her illness, Walker insisted on organizing a massive rally, gathering more than 10,000 of her employees in the heart of a wealthy white neighborhood. Even her lawyer, Ransom, thought it was impossible. But at a time when racial tension between black and white people was at its peak, Walker refused to back down. Her daughter was even more confused when her mother started talking about wanting a grandchild. Still, she didn't disappoint her. The daughter managed the company well and even secured a partnership with the largest national drugstore chain. They were impressed with Walker's reputation and immediately agreed to cooperate. But when Walker began preparing for the company's first big convention, things took an unexpected turn. The sales agents protested. They were afraid that once the company partnered with the drugstore, they would all lose their jobs. So Walker decided to put the plan on hold. One day, while out for a walk, she ran into her white neighbor, Rockefeller. After hearing about her dilemma, he offered some advice. A true entrepreneur can't let anyone hold them back. The smart move is to fire them all. But that went against everything Walker believed in. Her mission had always been to lift up black women, not leave them behind. His words made her realize what she truly stood for. So, in front of everyone, Walker made her decision. She publicly announced that she would cancel the deal with the drugstore chain. Perhaps it was because she knew her time was running out. But But when she saw her daughter reluctantly go on arranged dates, Walker gave up her dream of seeing a grandchild. She realized it was better to free her daughter from the expectations and burdens she had placed on her. Fortunately, her daughter later adopted a child who would go on to inherit her legacy. Through the platform Walker built, countless Black women found independence and changed their destinies. As a philanthropist and patron of the arts, Walker generously donated to Black colleges, social programs, and cultural institutions. She became the first self-made African-American female millionaire in American history, earning a place in the Guinness World Records. This story is based on true events. Though Walker was born into poverty and hardship, she never complained. She rose from being a laundress to becoming the head of a major company and left an indelible mark on America's business history. Madam C.J. Walker became the first self-made female millionaire in the United States.
Okay. 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 So Viv and Victor and Valerie and Valerie and yes, Ted, talking to you, and Shirley and Sabrina and Odie. Hi, Norma and Joseph. iPhone 12 Pro TV. I wonder who that is. And Igor. And Greta, Ghislaine, and Fortune, and Eugenia, and Brenda, and Benjamin. Welcome again, Angel, iPhone, and Patience, and Dr. Antoinette, and CJ. That's a powerful movie. Powerful, powerful, powerful right there. And it's funny. CJ Walker. CJ Walker. A story.
I saw that movie years ago. It's a powerful movie. I highly recommend it. She was a dynamic woman. You can see how persistent she was. They showed a lot of the challenges in this clip, but she also really, she she was living next to Rockefeller. That tells you the lifestyle she had. So, she really, it seemed like enjoyed a life of wealth as well. It wasn't just all challenges, but she certainly had challenges and was resilient with what she had to deal with. Very, very inspiring.
Thank you, Dr. Antoinette. And here's the sad part. The part that is not mentioned in the movie, which deserves an encore, is that after she built this fabulous mansion right beside the Rockefeller, a year later, she died. That kidney issue took her life. She didn't live to enjoy all of what she had. Oh, I tell you, which is why there's so many reasons why I bring it on stage this morning. You know, the son-in-law. Can you imagine in your own family, there's betrayal. And so there are those of us on the call this morning, showtime. The betrayals, the unrealized expectations, which we spoke about a couple of days ago. You know, we spoke about the art of detachment. You know, Momentum Mornings really is about life, and life happens. So having achieved phenomenal success, a year, 2 years later, this wonderful, wonderful icon of a woman transition, leaving all that wealth and the splendor behind. Alas, the good news is that because of the work of C.J. Walker, the NAACP, and all these wonderful, wonderful freedom fighter out there got grit. So it's a movie of persistence. Don't give up. Grit. She studied. She bored herself into her books. Atomians, you have a wonderful, website there. It's called the Atomy Shopping Mall. Get to work. Research. Research. You have some great, wonderful products right there, all put together, packaged. Have you ever seen the packaging for that fermented noni? Your evening care 4-step and others, the cell-active skincare, so beautifully arranged. And the prices is beyond reasonable. So the unrealized expectations, the setbacks, the tragedies, that fire burnt up everything that she had worked so hard for. The betrayal, the hate, the sabotage. And then came the success. Did you see the beauty parties? Yes, we're going to talk about that another time, but the reason behind, or one of the reasons behind bringing this movie on stage is the fact that it was the beauty parties. She used her home. Folks, and I'm not just talking about the ladies in the house. I'm talking about you guys, us brothers. Hey, you have money right here. Yeah, that peel-off mask, I don't think we have the time, but I'd love to show you what the Honorable Chairman does as his routine. Okay, so I really wanted to allow us to do some interaction this morning because this thing is real. This Cosmeta millionaire movement is going to become an explosion. And the movie that we just watched is your future you, Dr. Antoinette, your future you, Valerie, and Odie, and everyone in the house this morning. Yeah. Don't worry, you will always have a son-in-law, a daughter-in-law, your niece, your nephew, somebody, your husband, I don't know. Somebody will be a Mickey Mouse. Yeah, they will hide in the shadows and they will sabotage. That young son-in-law, how terrible. I call him Mickey Mouse. So you'll either have a Minnie Mouse or a Mickey Mouse. But we keep on pushing. Persistence. Don't give up. The persons that are close to you, right there in your house, in your family, your own people, the great Du Bois and all these other freedom fighters, they didn't come to her rescue. How sad. But it's a true story. The story of Madame C.J. Walker. I'll open up for some final words and then we are out of here. I don't think we have time for me to get into the selective skincare as is demonstrated by and presented by the Honorable Angel Park. But we can have a quick conversation before we go. Hello.
Good morning, CJ. Norma Jones from Montgomery, Alabama. How's everyone today? So excited to be on this call. It just give you what you need to get your day going. I do have a testimony. My sister has been on the Smart Up Memory supplement. She is a senior accountant for UAB Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. She handles all of the vendors' invoices for all the supplies for the hospital.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Could use.
Yeah, your connection is
okay. Is it a little better? Is it a little better?
A little better, right there, right there. Stay right there. Stay right there.
A little better right here. Stay right
don't
here.
Move.
Okay.
Stay right
all
there.
Right. Okay. All
right.
Great. Yes, I can. I sure can. Yes, I have a testimony. My sister, she is a senior accountant with UAB Medicine Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. She deals with a lot of invoices from all the vendors that the hospital supplies and everything. So they just actually added another hospital to to the load of UAB. They bought another hospital. So it's not a lot of accountants there that can handle the workload. So she's been overwhelmed, anxiety, getting all these emails from vendors, having to just kind of get everything out so these vendors can get paid so they can keep supplying the hospital. So she was telling me about it, and she said it's kind of hard to sleep and, you know, just all over the place. And you see these 400 emails when you open up every day, and all these emails have these invoices that have to be taken care of. So I got her on the Smart Up memory supplement. She's had it about 2 weeks. After her first week, which was last week, first week, she said she could tell the difference. She was able to sleep better. Her mind wasn't all over the place. When she got home, she was actually able to settle down and debrief from work, not worrying about the 400 emails that was left. And when she got ready to solve a problem, because some of the invoices have problems with the numbers aren't matching up, she said she was actually able, because it helps with short-term and long-term memory, she was actually able to go back in her mind, and it didn't take her long to go back to pick up what she needed to solve the problem. And she didn't feel overwhelmed or feel pressured. So she's very excited about it. You know, she said, I'm going to tell all the other accountants in the office, hey, because they're all experiencing the same thing, you know, lots of just an overload. So, you know, it's really good for, like I said, memory. Also, it helps you sleep, and also just kind of slows the brain activity down when you get overwhelmed with a lot of daily activities, and even just daily situations, family stress and different things. It's a really, really great help. So just wanted to put that out there, the Smart Up memory, and it's also good for dementia as well.
Thank you, Norma.
That's great. Thank you for sharing.
Most welcome.
As I said before, these products will enhance and improve your life and your lifestyle. Yeah. So, any other thoughts about Madam C.J. Walker, the movie, the cosmetic millionaire lady? By the way,
Madam C.J. Walker was born in the late 1800s, y'all, before the internet. Way before, during a time where, you know, segregation and everything. And with all of that, she still was able to make $1 million. Can you believe it?
What a story. We haven't even begun to unpack this one. And guess what? Dr. Anthony, guess what? We have in our shopping mall the wonderful Hair Vital set, introduced in April of 2025. It's guaranteed after 4 weeks to regrow hair, 92.67%. And the company is boasting about it. The science, the technology behind that product is like so huge. They talk about the scalp biome. Oh my goodness. The company is not even holding back. They're saying 92.67% guarantee. And I know, Dr. Anthony, that should make you quiver, because you are a forensic detective right there.
Yeah, I looked at it, and I'm trying it for myself, so I'll let y'all know if it works.
I look forward to it. Absolutely. All right.
You are the consummate dedicated detective, representative of Atomy, and proactive person pursuing her best self.
Yeah.
I don't think we take much of a chance trying these products, knowing that they're sourced well, organic, plant-based, and lacking harmful chemicals. And I wish you all the success, and I look forward to your report, Dr. Lloyd.
We are. Indeed, we are. So, Ted, here's my message to all of us, myself included. Within a year, by the time C.J. Walker built for herself right beside the great Rockefeller a mansion, and she did not build that mansion way deep down inside the property. She brought it. She had it constructed near the road. You know why? So that people could see. All right. Perhaps you are the laid back kind of person. You're not into uh, imagery and optics. But the real message that I want to convey this morning is that life happens. As she rose to fame and fortune and she realized her dream, then came the injured kidney. A year later, she died. She had just done building this fantastic, fabulous mansion. All the best of the best of the best. The banister rails, the curved arches, the all pipe music throughout the house. Yeah, not living to enjoy it. How about that? So my message is, family, folks, guys, it's one life. Don't waste time. Don't waste time. Get these products out there. Get your beauty parties. Get them going, just like Madam C.J. Walker did. Promote, promote, promote. You have your momentum morning. Invite, invite, invite. Let's get it done. And that's all for me today.
Can I say something? Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know if I guess I got on late. I don't know if we've mentioned. I think it's worth mentioning in about a month. We're planning on having an event in Lehigh and Fort Myers area. So if you know anybody, any Atomy people that's either in Fort Lauderdale, Lehigh is not too far to drive. So we all would love to be over there at that event.
From Fort Lauderdale.
What?
Only 2 hours from Fort Lauderdale.
There you go. So we want all the Atomy people to come and support and bring your guests. If you have people in that area, Spanish, Creole, it doesn't matter. It's going to be, I totally believe it's going to be a great event. It's going to be 3 sessions. That's our plan for the day. So we have more information. We put the flyer on there. So please plan on that. It's going to be June 10th. So get ready, bring your people, put it on your radio, put it on your Facebook when the flyer comes out. And we all want to go up there and make a big mark in Lehigh, Fort Myers area, please. It's going to be great. And the Cosmeto Millionaire movement, I was saying, especially that area, there's a lot of Spanish people and Caribbean people and Haitian people. They're into beauty and health. It's a great area, great opportunity. So everybody put together, start planning for June 10th, make it a whole day. And we would need all the support that we can get for people coming. If you have products that you could bring to sample, whatever, we all want to make it such an amazing time and all of us together, winning together, because we kind of all on the same team. And those that's not in our team, we will share too, because we all are one team in Atomy. Okay, so save the date, June 10th. It's going to be an all-day event, 3 events, morning, afternoon, and evening, and start calling your friends and family over that way, and you yourself be there to support them, and not just support them, for all of us to work together to make this an amazing event. We will place the flyer on there sometime either this coming next week, so you have the location, and like I said, you could post it on your Facebook page and different things, so we all can make it an awesome day. Thank
you. 100%. Yeah. we're gonna resurrect the spirit of Madame C.J. Walker. Do I get an amen?
Amen and amen.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Amen. Thank you, Tabitha, for bringing it up. I'm part of it. Ted's part of it. CJ's part of it. Victor's part of it. Jock is part of it. And we invite anyone else who's in this area, Southwest Florida, Southeast Florida, South Florida. Please come on down. Please tell us what you can do to help us and make it successful for everyone.
You know, Mr. Eugene will be there.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, the concept of the Cosmeto Millionaire was born by our Sharon Rose master, Bob Eugene. All right, folks. So make it a productive day. We'll be here tomorrow to do it all over again. And remember, we change lives for better. We do. Cherish the spirit. Create the vision. Follow the faith. And serve in humility. Aja.
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 Aja. Have a great day.